Hello and welcome to our first live Q&A. Today I've been given a question about personal response systems. So I just thought if one person's asking about which personal response system to use, then I wouldn't, there's going to be more people who are interested to just find out some of the options that are available. You can get different funding bodies will fund different kinds of personal alarms. So that's the first place to start, is what would the funding body endorse? But if you go, well, what's the functional goals for the person? So there's a couple of different options that are really, really common. This here is what we'd call a Livelife alarm or a SureSafe. There's a couple of other companies that carry this alarm. So it's a pendant alarm. So you wear it around your neck like that. A lot of people wear it under their shirts. And then that is pretty private. You can also change this to look like a necklace instead of having the lanyard. So there's different ways of wearing it so that it doesn't look so obvious. And so you can wear it in the shower, you can wear it to bed. The charge time is only about 20 minutes and it can last for up to 3 days, but I still recommend charging it regularly. So charge time is a lot quicker with that. And then we've got what a lot of people are asking for is I'd really like a smartwatch. So I guess the thing about these different alarms is we're looking for falls detectors and GPS monitoring. So people would be able to find someone if they had a fall out in the community. So yes, at their home, but also in the community as well. So the benefits of having one over the other functionally, as far as the falls detection, very similar. To activate the Livelife alarm, you just press this button for a few seconds and it will activate and start calling through 5 numbers that you've pre-programmed. The Apple Watch, it will automatically call your SOS number if you've had a heavy fall. So they will both activate with a heavy fall. If you have a slight gentle kind of fall, they may not activate. So you still need to be able to call or get someone's attention if they haven't had a heavy fall. But if they've knocked themselves out, they should activate. But say someone had a gentle, gradual fall and they're on the ground and can't get up. So something to know about the Livelife is you can just press the button and it will activate and it'll start calling through the 5 numbers. You can deactivate it as well. So if it started the sequence by accident, you can just stop it. The Apple Watch, however, the way that I would consider using this, and for a lot of younger people who have iPhones, it is a really good option. So if I look and show you some of the complications, this is how small they are. Can you see how many? This is all my apps on my phone. And so it's matched onto the Apple Watch. So if I was to have a fall, I could just say, hey Siri, hey Siri, hey Siri. Okay, she's not working today, but if I hold it in the side, now I can get her to call someone that I know. So in theory, all you have to say is, hey Siri, or press the button and you can call someone that you choose. So it gives a little bit more ownership over who you might want to activate with the alarm. So there are many other benefits of an Apple Watch if the person is tech savvy. If they're not, you could be confusing things. So for the OT who called me and asked the question, it was for a person with a brain injury who was 80 years old who had an iPhone 6. So iPhone 6s are not compatible with the Apple Watches. You should have a minimum of iPhone 8. And you can get some refurbed Apple Watches for about, $500. So if you can get a refurb Apple iPhone, then that might be suitable. But again, that's a big commitment for the person to pay because it's not generally considered a reasonable and necessary expense for any of the funding agencies to fund you an upgraded phone. So for an 80-year-old with a brain injury, if technology is not their friend, if they're not confident with technology, then you actually could be making them more confused. And yes, it looks pretty, but if it doesn't work when they've had a fall and an emergency happens, then you're actually not helping the situation. So it does come to us to say, yes, I know your friend has one and an Apple Watch is nice. But you know, the cost of buying a new phone is expensive. The person might not be able to see all of the different apps that are there. But even so, I have a younger person with vision impairment, and she has one of the most recent Apple Watches, and it has the largest screen possible, but she will activate everything through using Siri. So if someone's not familiar with using Siri or voice activation, then it just gets very complicated if there's vision impacts as well. So by the time you've got cognitive impacts and vision impacts, you might just want to go for something really simple that's going to work in the cases of emergency. So the other thing to think about is some people use this and they say, look, you could have it as a watch, which is true. So this is what the Livelife looks like as a watch. Now, I don't know about you, but that's big and chunky for me. So if someone offered that to me, I would say, no, I'm not going to wear that because it's too big. And if I compare that to the Apple Watch size, it's a significant difference. So even though you can say technically you can make it, wear it like a watch, it's not the same as a watch. So there are other smartwatches. There's Galaxy and other smartwatches that have more functionality. There's the M-Care watch, which has quite a larger screen, but it's big and pretty chunky. So just being aware of the size of that, there are some people with dementia and other conditions that will not tolerate wearing things that don't feel familiar, don't look familiar. And so I've found other people just don't like to wear things like that. So at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong about which is the best personal response systems. And I'm not even going into the places where there's cameras in people's homes and other strategies like that. There's a lot out there, but just the Livelife and a smartwatch, like they're just two of the most common ones that I would probably recommend for people for various reasons. And I think it's most important just to really think about the person and matching the person to the technology. It's not just about that the Apple Watch is the perfect thing. It isn't. For the wrong person, for the person who gets confused, for the person who can't see the screen, for the person who bumps things all the time, it might not work. But for perhaps a younger person who is tech savvy and technology is part of their everyday life, if they were to have a fall and they didn't activate the watch, they could be on the toilet, fall could happen. They could just say, hey Siri, call such and such, and then they'll have the GPS location of that person as well. So there's a lot of ifs, ands and buts. Yes, there's a lot more things you can do on an Apple Watch, and the prices are very similar, which is quite interesting. You've got the Apple Watch SE, is a very similar cost to a Livelife alarm. So cost-wise, I think you could justify it pretty easily. But the fact that the person probably has to buy a new phone if they don't have that is cost prohibitive to many people. So I guess the thing to really acknowledge with a smartwatch is they are mirroring the phone that they come from. So yes, it has a lot of apps. Yes, it has a lot of things that can be done without the phone. But at the end of the day, this is a small version of what's already on the phone, and it's mirroring the phone. So even if you get a SIM, the bulk of the data is on the phone. So it's not just you get a smartwatch and without having more information somewhere else. The M-Care watch, it's all contained on one phone, on the watch, and has one SIM. But you have to scroll through many screens, press lots of buttons. And my client with dementia who tried it and her husband found it very confusing. I don't know if you're able to try these kinds of things, but that's why I always have one of these in my bag to just show people what they're getting in for, to see if they'll actually agree to it, because there's no point having things in their bag that they never use. It's important to get the person ready to receive the technology. There is no point jumping the gun and saying, you need this. Actually, unless the person's ready to receive it, they're not going to wear it, they're not going to charge it, and it's just going to sit in the cupboard and be abandoned. So from today, I'm hoping that it's made you really think deeper about why you choose different kind of personal response systems. And look, I'd love to hear your suggestions of different ones that I haven't discussed today. I know there are a lot out there, and really love to hear any kind of input about what experiences you've had, the good, the bad, and the ugly about personal alarms. But my challenges have been I've gotten them for people and then they haven't used them, and that's the hard thing, because there's no point having abandoned AT in someone's cupboard. And then as for the Apple Watches and things like that, I normally have to fight a bit harder to get them through a funding body, but for the right person, it can make a big difference. So even me having one to show someone, to try with someone, is really important. I think you need to show them, try them, feel it, and really understand what it is before you start recommending these kinds of equipment. And a lot of the suppliers may loan you one, or Livelife has loaned me one, so that I can show participants what it might look like. So let me know if you've had any good, bad and ugly experiences with personal response systems, and let's start a discussion about what works best. But we know that nothing works best for everyone, but there's lots of things that work most often, and then we tweak it if that doesn't work for that person. So hopefully today you've really thought about matching the person to the technology. The MPT model, it's the one that we're going to focus on in our AT framework, because it's such a great way of really focusing in on the person, being client-centered, not technology-centered, because the tech is only part of it. The client is such a big component, as well as the milieu or the environment and where they come from. Have a fabulous day.